Yo, July 26th, Q's back, I'm back, the deep state's getting dismantled. It's a beautiful day, so let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, guys, so getting back into the swing of things here, let's start with Q. Q is back after a 20-day absence, beginning to post again a couple of days ago, so let's start there. Post 1682, it says, "From sea to shining sea." More on that line in a minute. Next, it says, "Who does Huber report to directly?" Now, as far as I understand, Jeff Sessions was the one that appointed Huber. Now, I don't know if that's the answer to the question, but what goes to be said here is that a lot of people are thinking that Jeff Sessions is compromised or not following the plan in some way. But from my perspective, if Jeff Sessions was not following the plan or was compromised in some way, shape, or form, I figure that he would have been replaced by now, right? So I'm trusting Sessions and I'm trusting the plan. Define evidence. Who has the server? The white hats do. Why does POTUS continually refer to the server? Well, the server answers a lot of questions, right? It wasn't the Russians that hacked the DNC. How did the server get out? Well, Seth Rich. And not only that, but what was on the server? Lots of very important things answered with that server. POTUS does not speculate. Future proves past. Who has it all? Again, the white hats do. The alliance. Future big meeting. Repeats important. Think Twitter. Those who awake see. Fake news. The propaganda arm of the deep state is failing. Panic. Silence is golden. Next post. You have more than you know. Q posting a link right here to this letter, the letter to Sessions, to Ray, and to Huber from a gang of congressmen, all wanting the answers released regarding all of this. McCabe, Page, Hillary Clinton, Loretta Lynch, James Comey, right? Q saying you have more than you know, meaning that so much information is open source, so much is already out there, we just have to connect the dots. We have to do the work to do that. Next post right here, Q is linking a Huffington Post article saying panic. Now, this is the latest article written by the deep state propaganda outlets about QAnon. This one coming out on the 24th, a couple of days ago. Huffington Post writes, "The QAnon conspiracy has stumbled into real life, and it's not going to end well." So we are stepping it up a notch here, guys. Now, we aren't messing around with smaller mainstream blogs, smaller websites like the Daily Dot and whatever. Now we're getting up to the Huffington Post. We're getting into the big leagues of mainstream propaganda. And the Huffington Post is tasking one of their senior writers, one of their best writers, to do this, to try to discredit the movement with. And it is awful, awful writing, full of just a bunch of bullshit, mis and disinformation, and blatant lies. I'm not even going to waste time going through this article. Just understand, it's getting more and more excessive with the ass covering they're trying to do. Q saying, now do you understand why mirrors and disinformation is necessary? Logical thinking. Next post, does Freedom of the Information Act cover FISA? No, it doesn't. How is it all declassified? Why was it redacted? Well, think Huber. And who declassified it? The president? It's all coming out. It's all coming to the public surface. Next post right here, Q goes through a whole laundry list of all of the mainstream propaganda outlets that have tried to run discrediting pieces on Q. Here's a list that Q posted a couple months ago, and then the most recent ones down here, as you can see, the Daily Beast, Media Matters, NBC, Right Wing Watch, Huffington Post, Washington Post, New York Times, Seattle Times. It's crazy how much misinformation propaganda they're trying to put out there about this. And then, of course, Q asks, all for a baseless conspiracy? They wouldn't be doing this if this was a LARP. Understand that. Next post here. Q says, there is no greater current threat to the American people than the fake news media. Hashtag controlled MSN. Study Nazism. Very important point right there, because if you study Nazism, and really the formulation of the military-industrial complex. Not just that, but the deep state in America. You'll come to find out that many of those Nazi scientists, researchers, and propagandists came over into this country after World War II. That was called Operation Paperclip. Those Nazis came into this country. They were set up in the medical corporations, the aerospace corporations, in the intelligence agencies, and of course the media corporations. Operation Paperclip, many of those Nazi propagandists then had a hand in Operation Mockingbird. I'm sure if you're familiar with that one too. Operation Mockingbird is whereby the CIA has a bunch of assets implanted in these mainstream media corporations. So it's all a big show to control our minds, to control our perceptions, and to give us the big lie. But luckily it's not working anymore. Q asks, compare contrast Antifa, compare contrast socialism push for rebirth. Who financed then and who is financing now? Who financed the Nazis back in World War II? Well, actually, the deep state did. It was a transnational conglomerate of a bunch of banking interests. There were actually a lot of American corporations that funded the Nazis. There were a lot of European corporations as well that funded the Nazis. And really, it was the secret societies that had a hand in Hitler's rise to power. And then, like we were just mentioning, a lot of those Nazis came into America post-World War II. And of course, the banking interests and the deep state was already infiltrating America pre-World War II. But then afterwards, there was this big coming together, and the American military-industrial complex they really clamped down on their control on this side of the sea. Q right here, then saying, you are witnessing and watching the systematic destruction of the old guard. Power will return to the people. I got chills when I read that one. Next post, we saw you. God bless patriots. Q linking this Reddit video right here, and I'll link this down below, of the presidential motorcade passing this group of people on the side of the road. And I won't play this. Let's see if I can get a screenshot of it. So you can actually hear that the presidential motorcade honks. They honk, and then you can see this person right here holding up a sign, honk for Q. I don't know if the confirmations can get any more obvious. I guess the only more obvious thing we can get is if Trump walks on stage with a Q shirt and says, it's real, guys. I mean, honk for Q. Presidential motorcade honks for Q. Pretty obvious. Not a LARP. And then Q goes and posts a link to a Twitter status saying, what a wonderful day. Do you believe in coincidences? And that Twitter post was right here. And it's from a guy named Lars, and awesome enough, he was actually responding to one of my own tweets. So I get essentially another, we could say, indirect confirmation of Q. The first one for me happening back in April when Q linked a Reddit article that was featured me in it, and now I get this one. So thanks, guys. Thanks for looking at my Twitter. I appreciate it. But let's talk about this post right here. So it says, what line in the opening song did POTUS point out just 5 minutes after Q's first drop today? And that line was Sea to Shining Sea. So they were playing God Bless America. And then right here, when Sea to Shining Sea was played, President goes, all right, tells everybody to listen to that line. And that line was posted by Q, remember? Sea to Shining Sea. Sea to Shining Sea. So again, another confirmation. Couple more. We get the honk. We get the song lyrics. There you go. And this next article is on Trump taking control of the Federal Reserve. So let's check it out. If you saw my last video that I did a few days ago, I actually mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it yet again. Trump poised to take control of the Federal Reserve. So there's a few board positions that are about to open up for the Fed, and Trump is looking to fill those vacancies with what looks like to be people that trust the plan, people that are on board with this all. So that is very good news. Q's saying right here, 2 confirmations of that. So not only do we get this article from CNBC, but this one, Trump has a right to call out the Federal Reserve. We will never again be under their control, under the control of these banking interests, of these secret societies that use the financial system to control it all. It's all bullshit fiat currency, guys. So that's good news there. And one thing that I missed really quick, let's just take a step back. So in regards to this, the line that Trump mentioned, right? That was on a tweet where I was discussing the Nexium members arrested. So I wanted to throw that in there. Billionaire Seagram Harris Claire Bronfman pleads not guilty to Nexium Sets cult charges and is forced to wear ankle monitor after posting $1 million bail. So we had more arrests happen. The Claire Bronfman, who is the billionaire funder of Nexium, she was arrested, and then a few other people involved in that sex cult. And here's what's interesting is that Claire Bronfman owns 80% of a particular island in Fiji. Now, remember when Trump was on stage and grabbed that Fiji water and took a drink? A lot of people were, claiming Trump was deranged or crazy, but that was just a message. And we're getting a little bit more clarity here on who that message was directed towards and why. That pedophile cabal is going down. Then getting into the next post, this one needs to be talked about. Need clarification in order to prevent movement split. Is R real or fake? So apparently there's been this post or poster going around that labels themselves R. I hardly even knew about it because it just automatically looked fake to me, so I didn't even give any energetic thought into it. Q says there's only Q. So there's some confirmation that we have yet another LARPer trying to fake people out, and that's that. Then Q posts essentially the FBI oath, some excerpts from it saying, remember, you owe it to your country, to yourself, to your children. We stand with you. The time is now. And that sounds like Q is talking to the FBI rank and file, saying that it's time to speak up. It's time to put the upper echelon, the corrupt upper echelon of the FBI, and not just the FBI, I would say all the three-letter agencies, it's time to put them behind bars, put them on blast. And the rank and file, they owe it to their country and to everybody else to do that. Next post we get from Q+, to all Americans, please pray. Then we get a stringer here, whatever that may mean, whoever that was directed to. Could be some other alliance members waiting for orders on the board. That could have been to them. And then signs off as Q+. So Q+, again, we've had 5, 6, 7 posts throughout the months ever since Q began posting that have been signed off as Q+. My idea is that this could be maybe Trump himself hopping on the board real quick to make a post, or the Q group lets him make a post, or it could be somebody else. Could be Flynn, could be, I don't exactly know who, but I would say that Q+ is probably a public official or a more popular name that is involved with the Q group that is posting on the board every so often. And then we have a few more excerpts from that FBI oath that Q posts here, kind of reiterating that fact that all enemies, foreign and domestic. We have a lot more domestic enemies than foreign enemies that we've got to deal with right now. And the next few posts, all from yesterday, that we'll go through. This one right here, the European Union blinked, concessions made, 0 tariffs between the US and the EU. So Trump is basically doing what he needs to do, making the good trade deals happen, not letting America get used anymore. This next post, Q is linking a Twitter drop and then saying RR Rod Rosenstein. Let's check out that Twitter drop, and that is this right here. So it says, it's from Representative Mark Meadows, and it says, I just filed a resolution with Jim Jordan and several colleagues to impeach Rod Rosenstein. We have had enough. So that is moving along. And then Q is emphasizing a post made right here. If RR is dirty, Rod Rosenstein, Mueller must also be dirty. If Mueller is dirty, RR must also be dirty. This was actually from a Q post a few months ago that was essentially emphasized by Q yet again. And this is interesting to me. I've had the speculation, the theory, again, not saying this is true, it's just something I've been thinking about for a while, and that I had thought that maybe Mueller was running a sting operation, right? Mueller is a Marine. He met with Trump before he was appointed to the special counsel, and Q has referenced Mueller before in the very, very beginning, making note that, yes, he was a Marine. So I was wondering, maybe Mueller got called back by Trump, by the White Hats, because of his particular involvement running around the circles in the deep state before. Maybe he came back to head the special counsel as a sting operation, right? Well, if Q's saying RR is dirty and Mueller must also be dirty, if Mueller is dirty, RR must also be dirty, that could be the case. Maybe Mueller is a black hat. But if Mueller's a white hat, and we look at this post, if Mueller is not dirty, RR might not be dirty. So again, another speculation here. What if Rod Rosenstein's just playing the game? What if he's playing an act? What if he is part of the plan? And his task now is to particularly get impeached. Anyway, let's move on. Q's saying you'll soon know why. So let's go ahead and check that post out that Q is linking here. Go to 8chan. And then Q's saying you'll soon know why in regards to the Facebook drop. So Mark Zuckerberg loses billions of dollars as Facebook stock dives 20% in under 2 hours. Q's saying something big is about to drop. That was essentially some forewarning about Facebook stock dropping bigly. And then Q saying, you'll soon know why. So soon we'll know why Facebook's stocks are tanking. And then for the last couple posts here, No Name returning to the headlines. John McCain, that's who we call No Name. And he'll be making his return to the headlines very soon, as Q's stating. And then one last question. When did No Name travel to the UK? Interesting. I'm not sure of that answer, but go check it out. I'm sure it has everything to do with this FISA warrant, with the illegal spying on the Trump campaign, and with all that shit coming to the surface. So that's all that we have in regards to the latest Q. So let's move on to the last few articles I want to share with you guys. But before we do that, want to shout out to a sponsor of this YouTube channel in Noble Gold Investments. I would highly suggest you looking at investing at least a small portion of your money, of those bullshit fiat currency dollars that we were talking about, in gold and silver, in something very tangible, something that's going to get you a much better return on your investments than the stock market. Gold and silver can do that, and Noble Gold Investments, they're a great American-based company based out of Texas that can help you. So there'll be a link in the description below, and website as well, where you can go check them out. And last few articles I want to share, so check it out. CNN denied access to the White House. This is just hilarious, and they are completely playing victim with this, as if they don't lie to our faces all the time. But essentially, a CNN White House correspondent, her name was Caitlin Collins, she was denied access to an open press event at the White House because she was posing a bunch of questions that were all bullshit. And Sarah Sanders told her that her questions were inappropriate, and then she was not let into a White House press event. So there you go. CNN is now getting denied access to the White House. They're going to, of course, cry foul and claim that they're the victim here, but very good news. Very good news there. I would be interested. In fact, I would tell you, any of you investigative journalists out there, why not? Why not try to get your own press credentials? I'm sure the White House would love some people in there that were actually asking legitimate questions. And hey, if we can get somebody in there at a press event to ask about Q, that'd be neat, wouldn't it? Next article here. YouTube issues a new strike against Alex Jones' channel over hate speech and child endangerment. So Alex Jones the other day was going off on one of his rants, as he normally does. And this rant was on Mueller, claiming that Mueller was entrenched in the deep state, covering up for pedophiles, just a bunch of shit. And this brings up a quick note I want to make on Alex Jones in that his act, his modus operandi is to completely marginalize, quote, conspiracy theorists. So pretty much any topic that Alex Jones touches, he does so in just a crazy way. He looks crazy. He doesn't use much logic. It's all emotion. He gets people riled up. And that being said, there's a shitload of stuff that Alex Jones doesn't cover, right? So, for example, when it came to that whole bases on Mars thing, I think this happened earlier last year in that somebody was on Jones's show, brought up bases on Mars as a potential. Alex Jones just got lit up by the media. They completely marginalized that issue. They made it sound nuts. And hey, there you go. Easy way to discredit, right? So that's the game that Jones plays. Don't get too caught up with his emotion, with his ramblings, and understand that there's a lot of stuff he doesn't say. And what he does say, he could put the truth out he does in a much more efficient way that's going to help this whole awakening process much better. So that's what I have to say about that. Poor guy gets a strike on his YouTube channel. I've had mine taken down twice. Come on, man. And then last couple things I want to talk about here is, of course, extraterrestrials, secret space programs, as I always do. So the headline of this article really interested me. Aliens might have lived on the moon, scientists say. Now, this headline is much different than what's actually in the article. So it seems if they're trying to prep our minds in some way, right? So this article is about bacteria. Of course, it's always microbes when it comes to mainstream space BS. But basically they're saying, oh yeah, there could have been some simple life forms, some microbes that lived on the moon billions of years ago, right? Again, prepping our consciousness, soft disclosures here. But again, that headline, them saying aliens can live on the moon. Looking at that, they're seriously trying to prepare our minds for larger disclosures. And another larger disclosure we had in regards to space is this right here. So there were lakes discovered underground on Mars. They discovered liquid water below the planet's surface. And NBC right here saying that it's stoking the hopes of finding alien life. Now again, there's public disclosures and then there's what's going on in the private sector. Let's talk about what happens in the private sector, i.e. secret space programs. They've gone to Mars, right? I wouldn't put it past anything that there's already bases on Mars. And in fact, many whistleblowers and evidence shows that the first humans, the first people of this civilization to get to Mars were the Germans. The Germans in their secret space programs in the late 30s and early 40s. And of course, massive relearning curve there. I'm going to do future videos more on that topic, ETs, secret space programs and whatnot, because those are some crucial puzzle pieces that a lot of people are missing. And they're very helpful in seeing the big picture, okay? The above 40,000 foot view. So that's what's going on in the private sector. We've gone to the moon. We've gone to Mars. Corporate contractors like Lockheed, Boeing, Northrop, Raytheon, I'm sure that they've worked with the Air Force and the CIA to get us out into space already in electrogravitic anti-gravity craft, right? Pretty easy to surmise that if you look deep into it. So why are these public disclosures hitting the airwaves now? Let's answer that question. So they're saying, oh, alien life might have lived on the moon. Oh, we got water on Mars. Ooh, we have more exoplanets where there could be life. Ooh, we've got, right? There's always something new. It seems like every week or two, there's always something new that's coming out. And they're, again, like I said, they're soft disclosures. It's not the full truth, but they're tiny little pieces of it to prepare us. And this also brings up an interesting point of false flag disclosure. So with all of this information coming out that Q is posting, all of the sex cult and pedophile arrests and busts, with Hollywood imploding, right? With the deep state essentially just getting dismantled, their last false flag that they could pull would be the ET card, the alien card, or the secret space program card, right? They could say, oh, we found ancient civilization ruins under the ice in Antarctica. Or they could say, oh, we discovered something on the Martian surface, life on Mars, life in that water, whatever the case is. They're waiting for something, some kind of card to play, so they can give us only a piece of the truth. It's not the full truth, mind you. They're not going to tell us that, German secret societies were building secret space programs during World War II and then moved them down to Antarctica. No, they're not going to tell us that. But they'll give us a tiny little piece of the truth pie to distract the populace away from the nasty stuff being exposed, away from Q, away from the Pizzagate, Pedogate bus, all of that, right? And again, that's another long topic to discuss. I'll do so in future videos, but I just want to throw that in here really quick to warn you, because we don't want to be duped. And I don't want to see anybody out there duped by anything. So there you go, guys. We got new Q, Trump poised to take over the Federal Reserve, a few more confirmations, and then some more soft disclosures coming out about ETs, UFOs, which is cool. But hey, we don't need any official telling us what the truth is. We have the internet at our fingertips. You can easily, it takes effort. It takes proper discernment to figure out what's real and what's not. But with the internet at our fingertips, you can easily figure out those disclosures for yourself. So thank you for watching, guys. And one last thing I want to make note of: if you enjoy the reporting that I do and you want to support me, think about doing so on Patreon. You can subscribe there, donate whatever you want to donate a month. Could be $1, could be $100, whatever you can and are willing to support me with. I absolutely appreciate it. And you get access to exclusive content. I do live chats on a pretty much weekly basis through Zoom. You can hop on there and just chat with me. And then I do some exclusive posting on there as well. So think about that. Support me. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Make sure you hit that notification bell when you do subscribe so you get notified when these videos post. And I'll be talking to you guys very soon. Peace out.